ultimately I need to do better. Always got to be my harshest critic. But yeah, proud to be part of a historic event, and I hope it lived up to expectation. Fulfilling my legacy and my destiny. Credit to Eubank. I wish him well, but no doubt I'm coming back for revenge.
Eubank multiple rounds, and having him on shaky legs, I just couldn't get the finish, which I put down to ring rust. I couldn't pull the trigger and get him out of there.
The dust hasn't even fully settled from the bruising war between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. But one thing is already certain: the story isn't over. In fact, it's just getting started. With a rematch clause confirmed and emotions still raw, we're diving into the aftermath of a fight that was as much about legacy as it was about fists. From bitter disappointment to respectful reflection, and from harsh self-critiques to emotional praise from legends like Nigel Benn and Eddie Hearn, we explore exactly why the rematch is inevitable and why the cut runs very, very deep. Conor Benn's immediate reaction is one of visible pain. For the first time in his professional career, he's tasted defeat, or at least the bitterness of not winning. He's honest about the experience, admitting it's a hard pill to swallow. But what's most telling is his ability to still appreciate the fight itself, whether people scored it as a draw or edged in his favor. Benn knows he left everything in the ring. His mixed emotions reflect a fighter torn between frustration and pride, exactly the kind of emotional chaos that fuels hunger for a rematch.
Yeah, mixed emotions, obviously. No one wants to lose. I've never tasted defeat, so yeah, no doubt it's a bitter pill to swallow, but such is life. I've done the best I could. Some people say they had it a draw, some people say I had it either way. Skied me up.
Benn's words turn more reflective as he admits he must do better. He holds himself to the highest standard, pointing out his own flaws despite the historic nature of the event. Still, his pride shines through not in arrogance, but in reverence for the moment. He credits Eubank and wishes him well, but promises revenge. That one-line dash, "I'm coming back for revenge," says it all. This wasn't just a fight for Benn. It was legacy, honor, and a family name he refuses to let fall without redemption. His vow adds fuel to the rematch fire.
Ultimately, I need to do better. Always got to be my harshest critic. But yeah, proud to be part of a historic event, and I hope it lived up to expectation. Fulfilling my legacy and my destiny. Credit to Eubank. I wish him well, but no doubt I'm coming back for revenge.
In a surprisingly emotional moment, Benn opens up about the weight of his father's legacy. As Nigel Benn made the ring walk, Conor felt a rush of emotion that caught him off guard. This fight wasn't just about him, it was about generational pride. It was history relived in real time. Watching his father walk the ring made him realize that no matter the result, the story is bigger than just 2 minutes about two legacies clashing. That emotional charge makes the loss sting more, but also makes the rematch matter so much more.
What a beautiful thing to see. When he turned up, beautiful thing to see, because ultimately this is our father's legacy passed down to us, irrelevant of everything else. Family always stands, win, lose or draw. My dad's my hero, and it was nice. It was a beautiful thing to see. It was hard because as he's doing the ring walk, I'm sitting there going.
Benn analyzes the fight itself, admitting he had Eubank on shaky legs multiple times. The finish eluded him, and he blames ring rust for not being able to pull the trigger. This self-assessment speaks volumes. He knows he had the opportunity to end it, but didn't capitalize. That regret will haunt him, but it also gives him confidence. He wasn't outclassed, he just wasn't razor sharp. And in boxing, there's a world of difference. That belief that he could have finished it is exactly why the rematch will burn with twice the intensity.
Eubank multiple rounds, and having him on shaky legs, I just couldn't get the finish, which I put down to ring rust. I couldn't pull the trigger and get him out of there.
Benn raises a big question for his future. Avenge a loss or drop back to 147 for a title run. The fact that he's even weighing these options shows the high stakes this fight has placed him in. On one hand, chasing a world title at 147 would be the smart, career-focused move. But his pride is demanding something else: vengeance. The fact that he still hasn't closed a chapter with Eubank Jr. means his story, for now, is still tied to this rivalry. And it's becoming clearer he's not ready to walk away until he makes it right.
I just couldn't get the finish. I just couldn't pull the trigger and keep it moving. I'm known for have my opponent hurt and getting finished. So it's one of them things where it's like, do I avenge the loss? Do I drop back down to 147 and win the WBC world title?
Michael Bisping offers a balanced view, crediting both men for the fight of the year. He acknowledges that while Eubank came out the winner, both should be proud and that a rematch is inevitable. Bisping's words are powerful because they come from someone who understands a fight game at the highest level. There's no biased just appreciation for two warriors who gave everything. His belief that we'll see a rematch is more than speculation, it's an educated prediction. And when fighters like Ben are already hungry for revenge, that rematch isn't just likely, it's guaranteed.
Eubank was the winner, and even Nigel Benn kind of conceded that. It was a tremendous fight, and I think we might see a rematch in the future, but both men should be very, very proud of themselves.
Eddie Hearn confirms what we all suspected. The rematch clause was already built in. The terms are locked, and both sides are on board. According to Hearn, they nailed the contract the first time around, so nothing needs fixing. This means that fans won't be waiting around for messy negotiations or posturing. Everything is in place for the second chapter. For a fight with so much emotion, legacy, and controversy, the fact that it's legally locked and loaded makes it feel even more real. All that's left now is to set the date.
The terms are already agreed for the rematch, to move forward. And it's the same as the first contract in that respect. So I think we got it spot on with the numbers.
Nigel Benn delivers a touching and honest take. He's proud of his son, but also concedes that it was a close fight, and Eubank did better in the later rounds. Rather than dwell on the result, he looks forward to the rematch. It's a mature, grounded view from a legend who knows how hard it is to win at the top level. His attitude isn't about excuses, it's about redemption. He wants Conor to get another crack, not out of anger, but because he believes in his son's ability to grow, learn, and come back stronger.
I was proud of him. Very, very close fight. Very, very close fight. Not going to go on about the decision. It could have gone either way. Chris done better in the later rounds, which I was very impressed with. So, what else can I say? It's just a good fight. Just looking forward to the rematch now.
Nigel Benn urges his son not to drop back down to 147 yet. He believes Conor should stay at 160, take the rematch, and then think about world titles. This advice is critical because it shows the Benn camp's priorities: closure over career advancement. They want that rematch not just for sport, but for pride. For Conor to prove he belongs in the same ring with Eubank, and to right the wrongs from fight one. In their eyes, unfinished business comes before championship gold, and that's what makes this next fight personal.
I think, go for the rematch, Just, no point in going back down to 147. Stay at 160, get the rematch, win the rematch, and then drop back down to 147.
Nigel gets personal, saying he sees a better version of himself in Conor. But on this night, that version didn't show up. He points out that Conor spent too much time on the ropes and didn't use his full potential. Still, he's confident that Conor will learn. This is classic father-son boxing DNA tough love with belief behind it. Nigel isn't making excuses, he's identified what needs fixing because he knows the second time will demand everything. His words set the stage. Conor Benn didn't peak in the first fight, and the rematch is a shot at redemption.
I see a lot of Conor in me, but he's actually a better version, but he didn't show tonight because he was weaving a lot of punches in, going on the ropes. But he'll learn from that. But I see a lot of me in here, a lot of similarities.
Ben Shalom, CEO of Boxer, shares a powerful insight about the post-fight atmosphere. He mentions how emotional both fighters were and confirms the deep personal weight this matchup carried. Shalom highlights how rare it is to see fighters like Ben and Eubank Jr. come together for a hug after such a bitter buildup. This moment of mutual respect says a lot. It means the fight wasn't just physically taxing, but spiritually cleansing. Yet, Shalom still notes the rematch clause, suggesting this peace might only be temporary. In boxing, emotion doesn't end rivalries, it deepens them. And this one's far from done.
He does, he'll respect Chris deep down, to go through a fight like that and come through, and so I'm happy that that he'll come back stronger. He'll come back stronger. That's what I'm looking forward to.
What happened in the ring has shifted public perception. Both fighters gained fans, and the sheer drama of the fight left promoters scrambling for the next date. This kind of reaction isn't just good business, it's proof that the rivalry has matured beyond headlines and hype. It now lives in the hearts of fans. When a fight creates more questions than answers, the sequel becomes not just inevitable, it becomes necessary. And that's exactly what the rematch represents. Not a money grab, but a chapter 2 that must be written.
Yeah, I'm just so proud of him, honestly. Probably the first time that I can't even be bothered to give my opinion on the scorecards, because I'm just blown away by what Conor Benn did tonight. Respect to Eubank. I mean, he was incredibly tough as well, but I just can't believe the heart and guts. I've never seen a fighter dig in that situation with the size of that challenge, literally, and just never stop trying to win. Like, even in the 11th and 12th round when...
Eddie reflects on how the build-up to the first fight was toxic and overshadowed by controversy. He hints that this time, the rematch might feel more like a sporting event than a grudge match, at least in tone. Yet, even in saying that, he acknowledges that the personal edge remains. The cut, as the title says, is still deep. The rematch may be calmer in promotion, but in the ring, it will be far more ruthless. Fighters who respect each other don't pull punches, they throw harder. And that respect, forged in blood, is exactly what will fuel round 2.
When he had nothing else in the tank, he just never stopped trying. And, you know, for all the shit that he's been through, and I want you to know that this kid, you know, is a great kid. He's an honest kid. And again, I won't go into the past, but to see now the response of basically him becoming the people's champion, and a lot of people thought he won.
Eddie emphasizes how remarkable it is that both fighters wanted this fight again, especially given how emotionally raw they were afterward. He talks about the rarity of fighters requesting a rematch so soon after a battle like that. It signals just how personal this is, not just for Benn, who wants revenge, but for Eubank, who wants to remove all doubt. The fact that neither man wants to walk away says everything. This is no longer about media narratives, it's about internal legacy. Both believe they have more to prove. And in boxing, that's the most dangerous kind of motivation.
If people thought that Eubank edged it, whatever, that honestly, like, after what I've seen in there tonight, could not be prouder of that kid. Like, we live for fights like that. And the British public loved his dad, because he was just full of heart, full of spirit, and a never say die attitude. And that's what you saw from Conor Benn tonight. He should be loved, he should be adored, and I couldn't be prouder.
The battle between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn was more than just a fight. It was a legacy war, a generational echo, and an emotional reckoning. But as the final bell rang, it became clear that the war wasn't over. From Benn's raw honesty and desire for redemption, to Eubank's silent confidence and the mutual respect that emerged afterward, the story is far from finished. With a rematch clause locked in, fans won't be left guessing. The sequel is coming. And this time, it's not about proving who's tougher, it's about proving who can evolve and finish what they started. If you're here for real rivalries, raw emotion, and boxing stories that hit deeper than just the scorecards, smash that subscribe button right now and join the movement here at BoxaHub. Like this video, drop your take in the comments, and answer this. Does Conor Benn redeem his name in a rematch? Or does Chris Eubank Jr. close the book once and for all? We break the hype, we build the truth. This is BoxaHub, where legacies collide and fans don't miss a punch. Stay locked in, stay sharp, stay relentless.